Today we discuss on a chapter compound interest. Now we see the examples. What will be the compound interest on an amount of 9,000 rupees at 32% per annum for 2 years? Here we for 2 years. Now here we found compound interest for 2 years. Compound interest for 2 years. We use 2 as to 1, and we find compound interest for 3 years. 3 years. We use 3 as to 3 as to 1. 3 as to 3 as to 1. We solve by this type. Now here we find the compound interest on amount of for 2 years. For 2 years. We write here, firstly we take 32% of 9,000. 9,000. We take 32% of 9,000. Then 9900 into 32 divided by 100. 32 divided by 100. 0 get cancelled. Now here multiplication is 0. Here we write 2880. We firstly find 32% of 9,000. Now here we find 32% of 2,880. 32% of 2,880. We find 32% of. Here 0 get cancelled. Now we take multiplication of these two. 288 into 32. 32. Now here multiplication is 9,216 divided by 10. That is 921.6. 921.6. 921.6. Now here we take multiplication of these two and added these two value. We get the simple interest. We get simple interest. Now here we take multiplication of these two. 0 plus 921.6. We take addition of this. Now your answer is 6,681.6. Your answer is 6,681.6. Now here we find the compound interest for 2 years. Directly we find compound interest. Or also we find this by 9,000 into at 32%. 32 divided by 100 into 32 divided by 100. Now here comes amount for 2 years. Amount for 2 years. Now here we amount for 2 years is 5681.6. Now we get the multiplication of this value. This is the amount. This is the amount after 2 years. Amount after 2 years. Now here we subtract this amount from this amount we subtract 9,000. We get the compound interest. Now here 15,000. 9,000. 6,681.6. This is your answer. Now, what will be the compound interest on the principal amount of 72,000 at the rate of 16% for 3 years? For 3 years, we get 3 as to 3 as to 1, 3 as to 3 as to 1. Now, we find firstly 60% of 72,000, 60% of 72,000. Here we get cross multiplication of these two. 720 into 60. Zero, 2, 5, 11. 11,520. 11,520. Now we take 60% of 11,520. We take 60% of this. Here 0 0 get cancel. Now here we take multiplication of these two. We now here 1152 into 16. Divided by 10. Divided by 10 means here 8, 10, 4, 3, 2 divided by 10. That is 183.2. Now here we take 16% of this. We take here 16% of this value. Then 1843.2 into 16 divided by 100. Now here we take calculation. Firstly we take multiplication and then divided by 100. Then here 1843.2 into 16. Now here we get multiplication. Here point not now here point आपण नंतर घेऊया. Then here is 1 point and there are 2 zeros are here. मग या मल्टिप्लिकेशनला किती पॉइंट येणार आहे? 3 पॉइंट येणार. इथं 294.912. Now here we take multiplication and add in. We get value of compound interest. Now here take multiplication. Here we get multiplication. Here 1 point and plus 294.912. We take addition of these two. We get compound interest. Now here we take addition, we get compound interest. Now your answer is 40,384.51. 40,384.51. This is your answer. Here we get 60% of 72,000 is 11,520. After this we get 60% of 11,520 is 18,1843.2, and we get 16% of this value is here. We get multiplication and take addition. Your answer is 2. Now next. A sum of rupees 14,000 is lent at a compound interest for 3 years. If the rate of interest is 10%, then what will be the compound interest? Here we find the compound interest for 3 years. For 3 years. Now here we use 3:3:1. 3:3:1. Here we use 3:3:1. Now we firstly take 10% of 14,000. We take 10% of 14,000. 10% of 14,000. Now here 1400. 1400. Now here we get 10% of 1400. We get 10% of 1400. 0 get cancelled. 140. Now here we get 10% of 140. That is 14. Now we get multiplication and take addition. We get compound interest for 3 years. Now we get multiplication. Then we take addition of these three values. We get compound interest for 3 years. We get compound interest for 3 years. Now here we add 4,200 plus 420 plus 14. We get addition of this. Now your interest is 4634. 4,634. 4,634. Now next. What amount will be received on the principal amount of 21,500 at the rate of 35% compound interest per annum for 2 years. Now here we find the amount will be received. Now here we find the amount after 2 years. We find compound interest after 2 years. Here we find the compound interest after 2 years. Now here we write here. Firstly, your principal is 20,500. We take 30% of this. We take 35% of this. Now here we get multiplication of these two. 215 into 35. $7,525. Here 7,525. We get also 35% of this value. 7,525. We get 30% of this value. 30% of this value. Now we take multiplication, then divided by 100. We take multiplication of this 7525. 7 5 here 7 5 to 5 into 35. We get multiplication. Now here your here answer is 2633.75. We take multiplication and get addition 75. We take multiplication of these two and get addition. We get the compound interest for 2 years. Compound interest for 2 years. Now here multiplication of these two is now here 2633.75. We get addition of these two. We get addition of these two. Now here we find the amount. This is the compound interest after 2 years. Now we get addition of principal plus interest. We get amount after 2 years. We get amount after 2 years. Now here the compound interest for 2 years. We take addition of these two. We take addition of these two. We get the amount after 2 years. Here 0.75 plus 38. Now your answer is 39,183.75. 39,183.75. This is your answer. Now next. 9,000 is lent at a compound interest. Compounded half yearly. Here compounded half yearly at the rate of 40%, 80%. At the rate of 80% per annum. What will be the compound interest for 12 months? 12 months. Here now here your rate of interest is 80%, and your time is 1 year. 1 year. Now here compounded half yearly. Compounded half yearly means 12 divided by 6 is equal to 2. If you divided rate by 2, here the new rate is, here new rate or new rate is 40%. 80 divided by 2 is 40, and new years is 2 years. There are 2 years. Now here we find the compound interest for 9,000 rupees at a 40% interest for 2 years. For 2 years. Now here 2 as 2 1. Now here we get firstly 40% of 9,000. 3600. Now also we get 40% of this value. Now here we get multiplication and addition. Here we get 360 into 2, 3060, 600 into 2 plus into. Now we get addition. We get compound interest for 2 years. Here 7,020 plus 1440. We get addition of this. This is your compound interest 8,640. This is your compound interest. Now next. What will be the compound interest on sum of 7,000 at the rate of 36% per annum, compounded half yearly for 1 year. Compounded half yearly for 1 year. Here your principal is 7,000 rupees. Your principal is 7,000 rupees. Then your rate of interest is 36%. Your time duration is 2 years. Then here rate you compounded half yearly for 1 year. Then your new interest rate is 80%. And for 1 year. And years are 1 into 2. There are 2 years. And rate of interest is 80%. Now here we find the interest rate on 7,000 rupees for at an interest of 18% for 2 years. Now here we find interest for 2 years. We write 2 as to 1. Now here we get 18% of 7,000. Firstly we get 18% of 7,000. 7,000 into 18 divided by 100. One two six zero. Now here we get 18% of 1260. 18% of 1260. 0 get cancelled. Now here we take a multiplication of these two. 126 into 18. Now here 226.8. Here we get multiplication and divided by 10. There your answer is 226.8. Now here we get cross multiplication and get addition. We get the compound interest for 2 years. Now here we get multiplication. And we get addition. Your answer is 2,746. Yes, 46.8. 2,746.8. This is your interest for 1 year. If interest rate is 36% and compounded as half yearly. Now next, find the compound interest on 15,600 at 12% per annum for 9 months. Compounded quarterly means for 4 months. Here is 3. Factor is 3. Now here your principal is 50,600. Your rate of interest is 12% and your time is 9 months, means 9 upon 12 months, that is 3/4. Here compounded quarterly means nine months means 9 upon 12, that is 3/4. Here we divided rate by 4 and time multiple by 4. Now here your new rate is 12 upon 4, that is 3, and your new time is 3/4 into 4. 4 get cancelled. 3 years. And interest rate is 3%. Your interest rate is 3%. Now here your new interest rate is 3% and new time is 3 years. Now here we find the interest for 3 years at 3%. 3 as to 1, 3 has to 3 has to 1. Now here we find 3%. 468. We take 3% of this value. Also we take 3% of 468 into 3 upon 100. Now here now here 14.04. Then we take 3% of this value. We take also 3% of this value. Zero point 4212. 0.4212. We get multiplication and addition. We get multiplication of these three value. This value. Plus we take addition of these three values, we get compound interest for 3 years. Now here we get addition. One four 46.54. This is your answer. 1446.54. This is your answer. Find the compound interest on 8,500 in 2 years at a 6% per annum. Interest compounded half yearly. Here interest compounded half yearly. Then your principal is 8,500. Your time duration is 2 years. And interest rate of interest is 6%. Now here compounded half yearly. Compounded half yearly means for 6 months. Then your factor is 2. Now here new time is 4 years. Your new time is 4 years. Or new and rate is 6 upon 2. That is 3%. Your interest rate is 3%. Now here we find the compound interest. Then we use 4:6:4:1. 4:6:4:1. We use 4:6:4:1. 4:6:4. Here we write 4:6:4:1. Now here we get 3% of this value. 3%, 8,500 into for half year. 3%. 0 get cancelled. That is 255. We get 3% of this value. 7.65. We get 3% of this value. Zero point 2295. We get 3% of this value. Zero point 0068. Now here we take cross multiplication and get addition. We get compound interest for 2 years. Then cross multiplication is 1020 45.90. Here we get cross multiplication. Zero point 9180. This now here we add now here value is 1066.81 1066.81. Your answer is 1066.81. This is your answer. Stop here.